I just had it in my head that I'm going to do this no matter what it took. It was just chipping away one class at a time, not looking how far away my goal was, but just taking it one step at a time. They say the only way to move a mountain is one rock at a time. So that's what I was doing. And when I was applying for fire departments, every time I got told no, I just refused to take that as an answer, and I applied somewhere else, and I applied somewhere else. And I actually was in the process with Vacaville, got almost to the end. I was in backgrounds, and they said, we're gonna go with somebody else. And they told me no. A couple of years later, I came back. They liked that I was persistent, and they gave me the opportunity. The only person who doesn't get hired with the fire department is the person who stops trying. So if you're lacking in the physical fitness category, just start working at it little by little, and before you know it, with a good diet and consistent exercise, you don't have to kill yourself and work yourself to death, but just doing a little bit every day and getting better a little bit every day, eventually you're gonna move that mountain and you'll be ready. And like I said, here in Vacaville, you don't have to be, a top level athlete. We will get you to where you need to be. So as long as you're trying, we're gonna help you, and we'll get you right where you need to be.
No matter your age, if something comes to your mind and you want to do it, right? And you're thinking, should I try this out? I don't know if I should. You're not going to know unless you try. I always try to tell people, keep going until you can't go anymore. And then when you keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, stop, take a little mental break, look in the mirror, say, why am I really doing this? And then keep pushing again. Because I think even in my short 9 years, I haven't worked a day in my life. I love my job, I love my career, I love my family, I love my work family. And it's something that you shouldn't shy away from.
Have a nice resume put together. Do it, professionally. Have somebody look at it, proofread it. When you come in for, the interview, dress nice, wear a suit, look professional. Show that you're motivated. Come visit us. Come visit our firehouses. Okay, that has always been a thing that we valued, is for candidates to come and actually visit the firehouses, meet the people that work here, and tell us about your experience.
Off of that is the other preparation is, don't get into any trouble. That's really big. Do not get into any trouble because, background checks, making sure you have that clean record, because that's big. So don't get into no trouble.
The best advice I can give, if you're going to be interviewing for San Diego Fire, seek help from San Diego firefighters, because our interview process is very different. And if you don't seek help, the odds of passing the interview are very, very tough. Fire interviews are very challenging. For example, they may say, hey, tell me about yourself. Well, that's an education, training, experience question. So if you start answering the question by telling them about yourself, that's very difficult to score against the next person. Coupled with that interview preparation, it's just make yourself as valuable as possible. You're gonna have the minimum requirements, right? But you wanna try to grasp as many other things that will make you valuable also. And some things to talk about that's gonna set you apart in that interview process. For example, professional athlete is gonna set her apart because she can talk about all the experiences and how they relate to the fire service. Just things like that will make you a valuable candidate.
Hello, hello. Love this song. Not sure if you guys can hear it. Love, love, love this song. All right. Well, welcome to another episode of Recruitment in the Spotlight. Today we're here with the Sacramento Fire Department. Woo! All right. Well, thank you for being here. All right. So to introduce myself, my name is Sauna Pakeman. I'll be your host, she, her pronouns, and the recruitment manager for Cal-JAC. All right. So if you're not already, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications for future episodes and videos. We have content about the CPAT, FCTC written testing, departments that are hiring, and so much more. So also joining me today is one of my favorite people, the Amanda Carlton, and I mean that. She's our testing specialist for the Firefighter Candidate Testing Center, also known as FCTC.
Thank you, Lasana. That was so sweet. Thank you, everyone, for joining us with Sac City Fire today. I wanted to remind you, if you have any questions, please go ahead and place them below in that chat box. Go ahead and let us know where you're watching from. We will pull from these questions. We will try to get through as many as we can. So go ahead and ask any questions that you can, and we'll get to them as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you, Amanda. Well, let's go ahead and meet our panelists. Hello, hello, everyone.
Hi. Hello.
Awesome, blossom. So we will start out with you. And so if you could share your name, your rank, and how long you've been a firefighter.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us. I'm Keith Wade. I'm a battalion chief and 23 years of service.
I'm Tiana Nake. I'm a firefighter paramedic, and I've been with the department for about 5 years.
I'm Josh Pino. I'm a captain paramedic, and I'm coming up on 18 years.
But you started when you were like 9, right? A long time ago.
Yeah, gets younger and younger every time.
Good afternoon. I'm Jonathan Anderson, firefighter EMT, and I've been with the department about 5 years now.
Okay. And so the two of you, Tiana and Jonathan, you guys were in the same academy.
Yes,
We were.
All
19-2.
right. What was it?
Class 19-2.
Heavy
Shout out to
irons.
There we go. All right. Well, we do have a long list of questions for you today. We have candidates in the chat who've also submitted questions. They're still coming in. So we want to jump in and get some of our questions in for you too. So Tiana, let's start with you. We want to talk about what sparked your interest in the fire service, and did you have any experience beforehand?
Yeah, what originally actually interested me in the fire service was the EMS side of things. When I was about 14 or 15 years old, I was on a flight with my family, and one of the passengers had a medical emergency, and there was a paramedic on board, and so he jumped into action and was able to give this patient some care, and the flight landed early. The firefighters came on and escorted the patient off, and I just thought that that was so cool to be able to provide medical care outside of a clinical setting. And so that initially sparked my interest. I ended up going to EMT school with no really intention of going into the fire service. At that point, I hadn't really considered the fire service. And one of our adjunct professors was a retired fire captain and really encouraged me to look into the fire service because he thought that I had a good personality and would be a good fit for me. So I looked into it and I absolutely fell in love with it. But prior to pursuing fire, I had no experience. I didn't go to a college academy. I didn't know anybody that was a firefighter. So my first time putting turnouts and an SCBA on was in our fire academy. So it was a very steep learning curve.
I can only imagine, but shout out to just kind of being open to the process and open to that flow of people pouring into your life and making suggestions, and here you are today.
Yeah, I made it.
Awesome, awesome. All right, well, Josh, let's jump to you. Let's talk about your journey into the fire service and how you navigated through the requirements of becoming a firefighter.
So, like you said, my journey started pretty young. I was actually in high school. Due to the nature of what my dad did for work, he was always responding to fires, and I was interested, so I tagged along with him. In those experiences, I got to meet some of the arson investigators with the city here, built some relationships, and that was pretty much what I really wanted to do. And got to talking to them, and I asked him, what do I need to do to get this job? And he told me, he's like, well, you need to be a firefighter first. Pointed me in the right direction. I ended up finding some resources at my high school. Got to do some ride-alongs at Station 17 through that program, that was my first exposure to the city. At the time, the job market was really competitive, so I kind of had a path set out. I did EMT school in high school, and then right after that, I started volunteering, got my paramedic license. That was pretty much the only way to get hired, and then started the testing circuit. And here I am.
Okay, all right, well, here you are. And so how'd your family respond to you sharing that this is what you wanted to do, this was the career you had chosen?
So my parents were always very supportive. Shout out Mom and Dad. But being a first generation Cuban American, the rest of my family didn't exactly see it as like a lucrative career, specifically my grandfather, who was a big part of my life. To him in Cuba, a firefighter was just kind of really a low-level job, not really any potential for advancement or growth. But once he kind of understood what it really was and what we do, in total, he was very, very supportive of it. It just took a little bit of education.
And so for candidates at home right now, or they're in their car, they're at work listening in and watching each of you that maybe also be experiencing that. Maybe it's a family member or a parent who isn't supportive. They don't understand the professionalism of the fire service and why this is such a good job and a good role for a career. Any words of advice for them?
Yeah, I would approach it open-minded, kind of explain to them the kind of the scope of what we do. And it's not exactly what you see on TV or in the movies. It's not, every moment's not a life or death situation. Although those situations do exist, we're very well prepared for what we do. The training's fantastic, and it's really rewarding.
Can I add something real quick too?
Please.
It never hurts to mention pay and benefits. Thank you, CPF and unions. Yeah, so we get paid very well, especially here in California, and it's an honor to do the job. So yeah, we love it.
Absolutely. Lots of good reasons. All right, so Jonathan, can you talk about your career path, how it evolved, and then how you carried skills from past experiences into the fire service?
How much time do we have? My career path was quite the adventure. So my first exposure to someone in the fire service was around 2005. I was working an office job, and this individual firefighter who worked for Sacramento Fire came in to do a fire extinguisher presentation.
What was that person's name?
Shout out to Chief Billiter. At the time, he was firefighter Billiter.
Okay.
So he came and did a presentation, and came in his Class B. He looked really nice, really sharp, and again, that was my first exposure to that type of I wouldn't say job, but type of individual. And so I was like, he looks good, he looks sharp, and he just carried himself well. And so after that, it stuck with me. And then, you know how you go shopping for a new car, or you buy a new car and you see that certain color, that brand. So I started seeing fire trucks, fire engines. I started paying attention to that. I was like, they're going code 3. And then I started noticing they're at, incidents, first on scene. And I thought, that's very interesting that they're involved like that. And so I did some research. Met some individuals, made some connections. 2007, I started my EMT journey, got certified, and then decided to go the college fire academy route. So in 2008, I attended the fire academy. Captain Pino there was one of the drill instructors back then, very young. What were you, 15, 16 then? Something like that. Anyways, so I did that academy. After that, in 2009, I joined a volunteer fire department. I joined a private ambulance to get some EMT experience. I was told that's very valuable. So I did that. I was on that route, but I was also a father. I had 2 young children at the time. And at the time I started applying in 2009, my first application was with Sacramento Fire. And it didn't work out for the first few years. I tested kind of everywhere that I could, but it just stuck to want to work for Sacramento Fire. Started working in a hospital in 2012, UC Davis as an ER tech, and which was great because I was still able to kind of build some new relationships and also keep some relationships with individuals I've already met. And I think at the time, I maybe applied 3 times already as a Sacramento Fire, and I came to a point where I took a break. There was a lot of disappointments, a lot of failures, and again, it was during the time the recession hit in 2009, so a lot of departments just didn't have the financial ability to hire many candidates. So I started just doing a lot more father stuff, coaching stuff, and then I really got to a point where I was like, I'm not sure if I want to do this anymore. And again, being part of the ER was kind of a blessing because there was a particular individual who came in. A firefighter came and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about being a firefighter?" And I was like, "Let me tell you something." And so I kind of told him my story a little bit and expressed some of my frustrations. And he's like, "You know what? It's okay, but we really need some more good black men like yourself to join our department." And so I mulled it over, talked to my wife about it. She was very supportive about it. And I applied. And next thing you know, I went through the process, got hired in 2019, and I was 39 at the time. So 2009 to 2019, 10 years has gone by. There was many ups and downs, but I think all those not adventures, but pretty much the ups and downs helped me get to where I am today. And I think everything happens for a reason, and I think it was meant to be. And again, like everyone else saying, here I am now. So.
Shout out to the firefighter that came. Who was the one that came to the hospital and got you to reconsider?
So shout out to firefighter Frank Black.
There we go.
We've definitely become closer friends since that, and it was, like I said, it was a blessing. So shout out to him. He gave me a line that really hooked. Was, once you get hired, you've hit the life's lottery. So that was, and he didn't. It's not let me down.
Can you just look into the camera really quick and so when you get hired in the fire service, what is it you hit?
You hit life's lottery.
There we go. Awesome.
A real testament there to fortitude, like not quitting, and then obviously it was exposure. You being in the ER, exposure, like you were still getting that exposure to the fire department. So the more exposure people have, I always say that the more they're going to want to do that job.
And having those relationships, seeing those individuals, it kept me in. It kept the hook on without even me knowing, So that it worked out great.
Absolutely. Cheers to just fortitude and not giving up, the tenacity and all of that.
Absolutely.
Especially in those moments where you feel like, man, maybe this has passed me by. Maybe this is already over. Yeah. So that brings us to you. All right.
The old guy in the panel.
I'm going to call you Keith. But we want to know what inspired you to become a firefighter, and can you talk about, working for Sacramento Fire?
Yeah. To me, there is no other fire department. It is Sacramento Fire. So I'm going to be the hype man for this episode. It's interesting to me to listen to everyone's story, right? Everyone has a different glide path or pathway, footsteps into the department, and there is no one size fits all for people coming into the fire service. So I think that's good for candidates who are trying to get hired right now. Like, look, there's different paths to take. Like John was saying, he went to a fire academy. That was what he wanted to do. I was lucky enough in 1996. I had flown up here to visit my brother, who was working actually at the firehouse you recently did a visit at, Station 10 in the Fruit Ridge area.
Station 10.
Oh, Station 10, yeah, House of Blues, it's awesome. Very busy firehouse. My brother was on probation, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had worked at Walmart, I had worked at a machine shop, I had done a food business with my father, and I actually thought I was going to work in the motion picture industry because that's what he had done for 33 years. So I'm like, well, I'll just go work, normal, again, exposure, it's what I kind of knew. I fly up that day. I was a little late getting there because I had slept in because we had gone out the night before, but that's another story. So I get there and I automatically fell in love with it. The teamwork, the banter, that firehouse kind of energy and life. I was like, this is really cool. They're hanging out together, they're working out, they're checking out their equipment, they're doing all these things, and I was like, this is not an office job. And then obviously the calls. It was very busy. There was a storm that day. So I was hooked. And I went home. I instantly enrolled in an EMT program at a junior college. I've attended 7 junior colleges, by the way. So again, like different path for everybody. Yeah. I got done with EMT, and my brother had guided me instead of the fire academy. He had said, get a job with a private ambulance company, get exposure to the EMS side, which I loved, and get ready to go to paramedic school. I wanted that paramedic license. We called it the golden ticket. If you got your paramedic license, you could get a job somewhere. They were going to need you. So after working for a couple years as an EMT, went to paramedic school, moved back in with my parents. So I was lucky enough to have that support system in place for me to not work and move back home and go to school full time. Got done with paramedic, worked as a paramedic in Riverside County, and then starting my testing process. And I want to mention, I don't think I've told you this before, the first interview I ever did with San Diego. So I want to tell candidates, your first time out of the gate is not going to be maybe your best showing. And I made myself so nervous because I'm like, wow, my whole life's going to change right now. I'm going to work for San Diego Fire, and I'm going to buy a house, and I'm going to do all these things. I was so nervous and worked up in that interview. A captain stopped at one point and said, hey, relax. And I almost started crying because I'm like, it's over. They're going to have me mail my rejection notice to myself as I walk out the door. So anyways, I didn't do well. I practiced. I got better. I did about 8 different applications until I got hired in the Sacramento Fire Department, moved up here, and here I am. It's been a great career. It's a great agency, great people that work here, and anyone trying to get hired in the fire service, if they get exposure to our department, I can guarantee it'll be where they want to go.
That's beautiful, and shout out to people who just kind of lean into those moments and remind you you're human. Just relax. You're in this interview. There's a lot riding on this, but just relax and allow us to know who you are.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he can see, he knows.
But I'm sure that you pay that forward and you kind of assist candidates and kind of give them advice too as they're going through the process.
Absolutely. That is one of the things I love, especially in this role, is getting an opportunity to sit with potential candidates who come and visit the firehouse. And we do those practice runs of how to conduct yourself during an interview. And it's so helpful for them when they go into the real thing to practice those moments and have a plan.
Absolutely. Later on in the episode, we have some tips from each of you. A very special pro tip coming from Tiana herself about the interview, but I'm going to hold on to that for a little bit later. But we know, we can feel your excitement that you want to talk about it.
Oh, I'm so excited about it.
But we did want to come back to you, Keith, and just kind of talking about, in conversations, leading up to today, we talked a lot about empathy and strength. And can you talk a bit about growing up with your sister and how that helped you to become a firefighter?
Yeah, so my sister Allison, which I think she's tuned in right now. So yeah, shout out to Allison, best sister ever. She has Down syndrome, and she's a little bit older than myself and a little bit younger than my brother. And so we were always kind of mindset of, we need to help and take care of her with my parents. And what they did was they exposed us to things like Special Olympics and the different outreach programs that she was involved with. And that exposure to people from totally different community, right, of what you might call disabilities, or they need different sorts of resources and help, right? That exposure at a young age to me, I really think lent me towards being a caregiver and caring for others and having empathy towards people who come from different backgrounds and abilities. And moving as I got older, it really did the whole caregiver thing. And I tell different firefighters that I now mentor and people who want to promote to be supervisors that one of the 5 C's of leadership is caring. It's the one I like the most, because when we're dealing with people, we all come from different backgrounds and we have different life experiences. And it's important to know at the end of the day, it's like, I care about you as an individual, like I cared about my sister and her friends and different things. And I realized that everyone can do different things and bring something special and different to the table. And it's important for us in the fire community to know that, because if we are going out into people's homes in the worst times, moments of their life sometimes, making decisions, and they trust in us. And so that to be empathetic to their situations, to be caring, and do our best for them at that moment. That's what it's all about. And that's why we kind of call the fire service a family, because we do the same for each other, and then it translates over on the calls for service. So I could go on and on about it, because I truly love this career. So thank you for that question.
I wish we could sit right in this space for the rest of the, we have other stuff to talk about, but just the vibe that you've created. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So Josh, we're coming back to you. And so we'd love for you to give us an introduction to the department. How big is it? And why is recruitment a priority for all right now?
So the Sacramento Fire Department's pretty unique in the fact that it's the oldest west of the Mississippi, one of the oldest in the country. Covers the whole city and some outlying county areas. We've got 24 stations. Every station's got a fire engine. Every fire engine has 4 personnel, which also makes us a little bit unique. We're also pretty diverse in what we do. We don't just fight fires. We're an ALS agency, so we have paramedics on every rig. We have ambulances that transport. We have pretty robust special operations division. So we have hazmat program, rescue program, boat. We're one of the lead agencies in USAR, which is Urban Search and Rescue. We have 600 members, 600 plus members. Yeah, it's a great department.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Big agency with a lot of specialties for people to be able to go into.
Yeah,
it's one of the sales points, right, for us. Like, you want to do USAR and be able to respond nationally to disasters, or swift water training, hazmat specialists, rescue specialists, all these different aspects of like, hey, your career path can go this way or that way. And I know we're going to talk about it later, but we also have the new fire service EMT and paramedic roles for people who might not be sold yet on being a firefighter, but yet still want to serve their community and respond to emergency medical aid calls. We have that new job title that's coming out, so we'll get to that.
Do you just want to elaborate on it? What is that program? The EMS trainee program, I'm guessing, right?
Sure, yeah. EMS trainee program, it's a relatively new program, started in 2023. It's a great program. It allows certain individuals to get their, so wherever they're at, you don't have to have your EMT certification at the time. So we select individuals to where we help you get your EMT certification. So the goal is to create paramedics out of these individuals. So wherever they're at, and we get them to train for EMT, and then we get them trained once they're EMT to paramedic. So what they do is they're part-time employees. They work 2 8-hour shifts, and they work as a third individual on an assigned ambulance. And then the other 4 hours of that 20-hour week is where they are getting like classroom time or lab times, working on skills and stuff. They're paid individuals, like I said, part-time individuals, and their school, their training is all paid for as well. It's like a direct pathway that we're using to get on hired as a full-time employee with either our suppression, our fire recruit suppression side, or our fire service EMT paramedic program we have as well, which is relatively new.
Can I run this back the way that I'm understanding?
Absolutely.
Okay, so for the person right now working at Costco or Starbucks, which are great jobs, these are great jobs, they're looking for a career and want a career in the fire service. They can go on to become an EMT through this program or a paramedic, and their education's paid for.
Yes, all the training and education is paid for, in addition to being paid as a part-time employee while they're working the third on an ambulance, and they are gaining skills using their appropriate training that they can at the level that they're at, and they're getting exposure to a 911 community 911 system as well. And you can, so the minimum age is 18, I believe, for that, but you could be 25, you could be 30, wherever you're at.
There's no age cutoff for this
There's
either.
no age cutoff. So again, like you said, like when I was 25 years old, you weren't sure where you were. I wish this was around when I was going through it. So it's great, like you said, if you're working at one of those jobs and you're trying to figure some things out, you don't have to meet that. It's EMT minimum. We meet you where you're at, and we will get you going and take care of. And again, the goal is to create you to become a paramedic within our department.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but the fire service EMT paramedic is someone who perhaps already has their EMT and their paramedic, and then we can hire them. It's traditionally known as single role programs in some other agencies. We're called fire service EMT and paramedic because you are still under the fire department. You're just not working as a firefighter. You can come in as an EMT or a paramedic. We'll hire you, and you'll work on an ambulance full time, serving the community in that regard. So that's our new program. We're actually in the process of hiring for our first hiring group right now. So we're very excited about this new program, and we know it's going to be successful.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So lots of opportunities at Sacramento Fire. Love that Chief Billiter and just each of you have really outlined, Sacramento Fire is going to meet you where you are.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. You want to share some of the other programs that Sacramento Fire has to offer?
Oh, absolutely. So the EMS trainee is one that we went over in detail. We have quite a few. We have a reserve program also available. Those who are interested, we do provide we put on a girls camp. That's every year. It's a 2-day camp all day where we invite all high school girls to participate, and it's also taught by mostly, if not all, female firefighters from around the region. Tiana's participating in that. It's a great event. We promote that on our awesome social media platforms.
Shout out to Chief Iannucci and Monica and Sharon and everyone who participates in that.
And Wendy. Give a shout out to Wendy for the social media of putting that on too. Another awesome program we have is our Youth Academy, and I love this program. I've participated in the last 3 years with this. Our Youth Academy is high school age, 14 to 17, and it is almost a year-round program. And it's for any high school students. And once a week you commit to come in, and it's treated like it's ran like an academy where we have structure, where we teach the skills of firefighters. What we do, we expose them to that. But another awesome piece about this is it isn't all about the fire. Like, we teach some life experience as well. There's financial literacy class that we put on. There's also, we get them all CPR trained. They participate in many community events like Fill the Boot, or I'm sorry, not Fill the Boot, but like toy drives and others, whatever, they get involved with the community. So they're learning many life lessons in addition to being exposed to a career in the fire department. They also will do ride-alongs with us. I participated, like I said, the last 3 years. Tiana has as well, and I love it because it's about exposure with that one. Am I missing any other ones? I think that was...
I think open house, fire reserve.
Oh, the events, and we have some events that we have the... we do a lot of college. Our recruitment team does a great job going to college career fairs all throughout the year. And then we also do, in our summer piece, we do open houses. We select a number of open houses, and our recruitment team's out there. It's open to community, and even it's great for if you're looking into getting into the fire service, you can come do a station visit, come check out, our gear, our equipment and stuff like that. But it's huge for the community because we, get to kind of show off and welcome them in. Yeah. So that's done every summer with selected firehouses.
So with the open house, you get to show people how welcome they are at the fire department.
Absolutely.
I want to go back really quickly to the EMS trainee position. Roughly how many people are you looking for a program like that?
So when it first started off, we're at about 20. We have about 20 for our cohort. And the goal is to keep it around 20 to 25, but each year we want to start a new cohort on that. So like I said, it's a relatively new program, but we've had some great success stories out of that. And it's a direct pathway. So we've had Youth Academy individuals who have joined that EMS trainee program, like a handful of them, and then
EMT cert out of it and are now working as EMTs.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that direct pathway, once you're done with that, then you can look into going into the fire service EMT or paramedic route, or our fire suppression recruit, where you can work as a firefighter. And it's a direct pathway, like your foot's already in the door. It's not like you have to start over with the process. You're pretty much, because you're already hired with the city, there's just maybe one more piece you have to, like an interview or such.
Promotion.
Exactly, a promotion.
Okay.
And it's a direct pathway. So I think it's just awesome what we've been doing the last handful of years. And for me, I wish that was available. But I find it important to be a part of it, and it's like I said, it's just an awesome thing that
you clearly have a lot of passion in talking about it. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Most definitely. So at the JAC, we have a roadmap that kind of guides people through the process of becoming a firefighter. You all have really found a way to connect the dots in terms of here's the steps and a direct path in order to become a firefighter. This is really incredible.
And they did a great job with these programs because it's about the community that we serve too. We wanted exposure and create access for people who maybe would never even think about it. And so we realize that as an organization. And we hope I think a lot of other cities are doing it. It's important for us to make sure that our fire department mirrors the community we serve.
Absolutely, whether they're working in the mailroom or wherever they are right now. So all of this, I think, would make people feel really welcome at a fire department. But Tiana, we want to hear from you. What made you, having had no experience in the fire service, you come to the fire department, and so what made you feel welcome initially?
I have a few instances actually that I felt like the crews really just welcomed me in. The first one was actually when I was on probation. It's not typically customary for the probies to play the sports like ping pong or pickleball or basketball with the crew because, we don't want the probies to get hurt and extend their probation time. But one of the crews that I worked with at Station 7, shout out to Sevens, they were like, no, absolutely, you're part of this crew, you're going to play basketball with us. And I was like, I'm not a good basketball player. And they were like, we don't care, you're gonna come out and play basketball with us. And they ended up, joking around with me. They said I played basketball like I was playing rugby because I traveled so bad with the ball. But I really felt like I was like part of the crew. And then the other really big gesture was right after probation, my husband got in a really bad motorcycle accident and broke his back, and was in the ICU at UC Davis for 2 weeks. And so I was right off probation. My network in the fire department was very small. I didn't really know that many people. I was trying to find shift trades to get my shifts covered so that I could take care of my husband. And I wasn't assigned anywhere at the time, so nobody was really responsible for me. And I had one of our battalion chiefs reach out, and he called me on my personal cell phone while I was in the ICU with my husband. He was like, hey, I heard what happened. Do you guys need anything? I'm down the street. I can bring you food, like whatever. And I was like, I mean, honestly, I'm just looking to get my shifts covered. I don't have really any sick leave or vacation time that I can use because I'm so new. And he was like, don't even worry about it. We'll get your shifts covered. Like, deal with your family stuff. We'll figure it out for you. You just take care of what you need to take care of at home. And so that was, to me, it's such a huge gesture to have a chief call me and you know, be willing to take care of my needs like that. And it really made me feel like I was part of something bigger, and like the fire service really is an extension of your family. Like, people care and they want to be there for you. So that was really cool.
Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, just the caring, the extension of care as well, the programs, the direct pathways, all just outstanding reasons why. I'm sure the chat is already bursting with people that are very interested in working for SAC Fire. So before we, did you want to?
No, I was saying,
okay.
great. That's good. Yeah, let's get it. Let's get those questions.
So before we go ahead and go to the chat to take some of the questions, we do want to come to you and start out with, you know, how can someone arrange a ride-along? How do they go about doing that?
So they would go to our website, joinsacfire.org, navigate through there to the portion where they can sign up, and they would have to give some information about themselves. There's a quick little background check that is done to ensure that someone's qualified for access to go, because they're going to be with that fire company that they're assigned to for a better part of almost a whole day. I know sometimes, dependent upon the captain, they might stay right along for 12 hours. And they're going to go on all the calls and be exposed to exactly what the fire department's doing. So yeah, the joinsacfire.org, I recommend to anyone who's a candidate, especially if they want to come to our agency, which I have no idea why they wouldn't want to, but they need to do a ride-along. They need to schedule it and really see what we're all about, experience the culture. There's a true culture with our department. I think that's why, like what Tiana was saying, it is a family. Now, every fire department has its own culture, and a lot of them are very similar, but there are things about our agency that I think separate us. Call volume's one of them. We're very busy. There's no one that's going to get through a 30-year career with us and look back and go, I didn't really do the job. You do the job if you come to this fire department, and you're going to fight fire, and you're going to help the community, and you're going to feel a value. So I think that's it. So yeah, anyone they should try to sign up, get that exposure, talk, ask questions when you're there, and the firefighters are always very willing and want to give them that information, because it's all about giving back. Someone gave to each one of us for us to get our foot in the door, and I'm always mindful of that. Someone took time out of their day to answer the questions, because there are moments too where I'm sitting there like, I don't want to deal with this right now, but you put that aside and go, no, this is important. I need to help this person understand what they're trying to accomplish, because our understanding now is at a different level than someone new coming in the door.
Mm-hmm. And it pays dividends.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
And so how about the process of setting up a station visit?
So you can, unlike a ride-along, you don't really have to set anything up. If you want to do a station visit, at least within the city, you pretty much just ring the doorbell.
Business hours. 9 to 5.
You know, we're there 24/7, but preferably during business hours. I can't think of a single crew out there that wouldn't be welcoming to anybody who's interested, wants to ask some questions, wants to check out, you know, what it is that we do and where we live and how we do our job. You know, to piggyback onto what Chief Wade said, if you are going to do a ride-along and you want to make a great first impression, try not to come empty-handed.
Bring donuts or ice cream.
But station visit, feel free to come by, and there's always there, like Chief Wade said, and these guys have all said that, you know, that everyone wants to reach out and help in any way that they can, and will give you whatever information you're looking for or point you in the direction that you need to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I had the luxury of being able to do my very first station visit and ride along, and I just want to thank you so much, Captain Pino, for hosting me and our entire crew on that day. We had such a great time.
It was fun. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. So let's cut to a quick video so you all can see the experience that I had. I especially want to thank you so much, Captain Pino, along with your entire crew and everyone at Station 10 for having us here today.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. Hope you learned something.
I definitely did. I feel really, really honored to have been able to participate. I know I came to get a station visit, but I was able to go on multiple ride-alongs with you to different calls, see you all offer your services, your professionalism, your patience on all of the calls, the vast amount of training you all go through, just really seeing that put to use. And so that was a really, really cool experience. If you're at home and you're thinking about scheduling a station visit, a tour, a ride-along, it is so worth your time and so necessary. My hope is that you had the same experience that I had today. And thank you again for the lunch. It was just absolutely outstanding, helping out with everything.
Thanks for helping cooking.
Yeah, of course. A little bit. I was chopping just a little bit. I didn't do much.
You
That
did
was
good.
all you guys.
You did good.
But thank you. So every time I see that, just shout out to Station 10. First of all the people down at Station 10, shout out to you guys.
Yeah. Luckily, you didn't bring the curse of the ride along.
Wait, what's the curse of the ride along?
Well, traditionally, a ride along shows up and we don't do anything.
Yeah, we don't get the calls.
Yeah.
Say how busy we are, and then we don't do nothing. And
I did not have that.
You
We
did
had
not
multiple
bring it.
calls. It was
Yeah.
an excellent day. In fact, we put together, Firestars put together an entire video montage of all that happened that day. That will be dropping tomorrow. So go ahead, make sure you check out that video. And if you're watching this later on after we've filmed it live, go ahead and go to Day in the Life series. We want you to check out exactly what that station visit was like. All right, so, and it's okay too. It seems like it's okay for your first station visit or your first ride along to be a little awkward to start out with. There's a little, you don't know what to do. You kind of want to help, but you really helped me out a lot with that in terms of just being able to take initiative and help, and you answered all the questions that I had.
Yeah, I think it's really important to take that leap and start getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. You say these one-liners that I'm like waiting for more, but you really don't need more because you've said all the things just in that one line. So thank you for that. So we're going to go ahead and jump to Amanda and take some questions.
Thank you. Lasana, I cannot wait to watch that tomorrow and see your station visit. We have so many questions today. First, let's shout out. We have Sierra College Fire Technology. Thank you so much for being here. We see you in the chat. Also, Landon from YouTube, he's going to be doing a ride-along at Station 7, and he's looking forward to it. That's going to be on Saturday. First question we have is from Rico for you. How would you describe the culture in such a large department?
Good question.
I think our culture is absolutely phenomenal and second to none. I know everybody says that the fire service is like a big family, but I really do believe that like this department really has become an extension of my family. We work hard, we get after it, we fight a lot of fire, we go on a lot of calls, but then we get to come back to the station and hang out and have ping pong tournaments and play basketball and then over the 4-day, like I hang out with the guys that I work with. Like they've become some of my best friends. So
I'd say pride. There's a lot of pride in Sacramento Fire. If you're a member of this department, every station kind of has its own little identity. So if you're assigned at a place, there's a lot of pride associated with that. Like Josh's Station 10, that's the House of Blues, and anyone who's worked there at some point. I actually was assigned there for a couple of years. You have pride in that fact that you're a part of that team responding out, and you're going to interact with other teams, but your team's number one. So the pride, I think a lot of mentoring happens, a lot of coaching for that next generation. So when we have members who, if Tiana and John decide they want to be engineers and they're going to take that test to drive, there's so many different resources for them with relationships that they'll build to get mentored and prepare for that position. And so that culture of helping each other, again, I'm going to say the word 100 times, caring for each other, it always translates over. And it's another source of pride, especially as I start to get older in the department, looking at how we're going to leave it. It's going to be in good hands. So yeah, the culture and its energy. We are an energetic bunch.
Oh, yeah.
There is some, there's some friendly banter that happens, and a lot of it is deserved, depending on what it is. And at the end of the day, it's all in good fun, and we have a blast. My wife, I know it, she still looks at me sometimes because she sees me excited when I'm getting ready to go to work. I'm packing the night before usually. Still, after 23 years, I still like to go and be a member of this department.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I want to piggyback off of that too. Support, I think, is huge in the dynamics of the relationships. I work on Engine 4, and we're a very, very busy station, very busy house, and we have an engine and an ambulance out of our house, and so with that, like we work really hard. We have a high call volume, but the dynamics of our relationships and the support of each other is huge for me. I have a lot of individuals say, "You're still at 4s?" And it's like, "Yes, I'm still at 4s." They're like, "Oh," but I'm like, I'm enjoying it because of the culture and the dynamics and the relationships that we have. So shout out to Station 4 on that. And that's a big part too, because we're together for 48 hours, maybe sometimes 72 hours. And so it's what we do is it's a tough job, right? But it's the people within our department that makes our department and makes our house and our traditions and stuff like that. And so for me, that was huge. The relationships that I had built when I first started out and I was first exposed to, I think that subconsciously that's what kept me connected and always wanted to work for Sacramento Fire. So our culture is I think bar to none. It's really great there.
Okay. All right, let's take a few more questions.
Awesome. Another question that we have is from Luke. Can you talk more about the EMT paramedic program and the experience and training that is provided?
I can talk about it. So, I'm referring to the EMS trainee, I believe. Like John mentioned earlier, it doesn't really matter where you're at in your process. The department's going to meet you at that level and bring you up as high as it can. The experience you can't match it anywhere else. You're going on all the calls with us. You're doing all of the work with us. You're treated as a member of the crew. You're taking vital signs. You're doing radio reports. You're doing absolutely everything that we do, and getting very, very valuable hands-on training.
Do they cook?
Maybe they should. They should.
They help.
Yeah, they do help a lot.
Yeah.
And really, probably the most valuable part of it is that you're building relationships with the crews. You're building that first impression that's going to last a career.
Okay.
We have an EMS trainee who's a paramedic assigned to the ambulance that I work on, and she's just become like a third member of our crew. Like, she shows up every Monday, and we're super stoked to have her. And it's been cool to see her skills progress over the time that she's been with us, but she's just another member of our crew. So it's really cool.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I think the data says once you hook them, they're going to stay. They're less likely to travel on to some other agency. Those relationships get built. They want to stay.
Well, you have proof of that here with all the years of service just right here in the room. Oh man, so let's go ahead and take one more question, and then we'll jump into some of the other fun stuff about Sacramento Fire.
All right, Colby Slides. What does diversity mean to you and the department?
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a popular question across in all fire departments now. A lot of different organizations deal with that, and I think what it means to me, and I mentioned it earlier, and it's not just a canned statement that I make. You want your firefighters to mirror the community you serve, and then someone might sit there and go, "Oh, what does that mean?" I'll tell you what it means. And it's from experience. When I have, like, if John's on my crew for the day, and we go into a home on an emergency medical call, and there's an African-American patient, they're going to lock eyes with John much quicker than they are with me, there's going to be trust established because John looks like that person, and there's a cultural connection that can be established there that maybe I can't do, and it's just the reality of the world. And having members of your crew that are diverse, and it's not only just to connect with the patients, it's going to teach us in the firehouse when we're living with each other about where does John come from, what are his values, what is his family like, and what is his culture. And that exposure helps me to grow as an individual as well. So therefore we go into the homes and we're serving Sacramento is diverse. There's so many different cultures and types of people that we serve, and we need to prepare to serve all of them equally. That's why it's important. If they all looked like me and talked like me and had my life experiences, I'm going to do a disservice at some point. I'm not going to be able to connect and render the best care that if I was more diverse. So that's why it's so important, and I appreciate those types of questions because I know sometimes people are like, well, what are you guys doing? I think we've mentioned a lot of the different programs where we are trying to go into our community and grab the diverse members and give them access and opportunities and exposure to, hey, fire department's a career that you can have, and we want you. We want you here alongside of us and running these calls and serving the community. So.
And to piggyback off of that, yeah, Sacramento is very diverse, and we have so many different types of communities, and so it's good to see because it's their emergency of why they're calling us, right? And for them to see a very diverse crew that's coming in of different ethnicities or not only men but female firefighters, they're able to connect, build that trust, but also there's cultures out there that some of us do not understand. And by someone who has that understanding, kind of helps bridge, shortens that gap with that, and we're able to provide service. We're there for the patient to help with whatever situation they're in, again, because that's their emergency. But having that diversity and that difference of cultures involved on our side, be able to provide the solutions or the care that we need, and understanding those cultures as well. Like there's some cultures I might not understand, but Tiana may be able to understand, or Joshua was able to understand as well. And so then that's when they use it to their, not to their advantage, but be able to help mitigate situations and provide the best service we can to the community. So that's where diversity is very important and huge for, especially when you're in a public service position, to reflect the community, but be involved and also give them that sense of comfort and trust and be like, okay, someone's going to be able to understand our situation or our culture here.
And it provides a lot of different perspectives too, from within the crew and also from the public. Like he said, just being able to connect and understand and really like offer the best help possible to the community.
And just to piggyback off of that, as a female in the fire service, a lot of times I do have a different perspective, or I process things differently than the guys do. But I've always felt like that's been very welcomed in Sac City. I've never felt like my crew doesn't want to hear what I have to say. Like they really embrace, like, oh, okay, you see that differently. Like, let's explore that avenue. And I've definitely noticed, like there have been calls that I've been on where it's a female patient and they are more comfortable talking to me about whatever medical problem that they're having because, if it's a female problem, we just get it a little differently. So, but yeah.
And there's that unearned, not necessary to earn level of safety that's perceived, and safety is huge, especially when you feel like someone may not understand you. Just the safety of, well, maybe they might, And I know that you speak a second language, and how I think you actually translated on a call where I was on my ride along.
I think I did.
You did.
Yeah. It's definitely. It's comforting for the patient and the family, and I obviously understand the Hispanic or Latino community in a way that the rest of the panel might not, because that's what I grew up in. So.
Absolutely. Well, cheers to bringing cheers to bringing all of the vast experience that each of you all have as it relates on paper to the job specifically, and all of the soft skills and life skills and just culture that also kind of adds to what makes you all excellent firefighters. Yeah. You are very welcome. There's not going to be anything but compliments here today. With all that I've learned about Sac Fire, I have nothing but great things to say. So this has been a really good conversation.
Finally, we have a fan.
Oh man, well I know that Sacramento Fire uses the FCTC statewide eligibility list for hiring. And so because we have Amanda Carlton here today, the testing specialist for FCTC, Amanda, can you go ahead and explain what candidates have to do to get onto the statewide eligibility list?
Absolutely. So to get onto the statewide eligibility list, you have to create an online profile at fctconline.org. You have to be 18 years of age and older, have a valid driver's license. Also, to get on that, you have to have a CPAT card, which means you have to pass your physical agility test. You also will have to put some time and effort into getting your written test done, and you have to pass with the written of 70% or higher. So all those resources are on fctconline.org. Here at FCTC, we want to ensure that all of our candidates get so much resources. So you can go online and you can actually go for the CPAT and get our prep guide. It'll go step by step through what you need to be prepared for, how to prepare physically for it. Once you schedule your CPAT, you actually get a free orientation. So on your orientation day, we have proctors going through every single event, letting you know how best to maneuver certain things and get through your time effectively so that you can pass. You can also purchase a practice test. Strongly encourage you to do a practice test before your actual test day so you can see how well you fare. And then all of our proctors are experts at this. They will give you everything you need to know as far as how to prepare and get you there. As well as, we do not leave you hanging for your written. We do have a in-prep class, so you can actually come into one of our prep courses at our FCTC facilities, and we have an instructor going through every single step of the way of what you can do to prepare for your written test. Study guides are also available online. We have a PDF ready for you. Our newest feature that I'm super excited about, we do have an online prep course, and you can go at your own pace. $25 will get you a 6-month subscription to an online prep course and in-test essays, as well as in-tests that you can practice on and see how well you do.
And how about cancellations? If say that someone's trying to get in and they're having a rough time getting a slot to take the CPAT.
Great question. At FCTC, we constantly have departments who have deadlines. When they have deadlines, I know you're trying to get in for that test, you have to constantly go to our website and you need to ensure that you just refresh it. A lot of the times the spot will open up and it's free to you, and we open up testing spots very frequently to ensure that everyone has ample time to get their test taken before those department deadlines.
Good stuff. So FCTC wants to see you win. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, thank you, Amanda. So Keith, we're going to come back to you, and we'd like to know if you could give a quick rundown of just the minimum requirements in order to apply to Sacramento Fire, what the application process looks like, and then what candidates can expect during the hiring process.
Yeah, so again, join sacfire.org. A lot of the information's there. We have it's called the DOOR, the Diversity Outreach and Recruitment Division. There are members in that division that you can get a hold of, and they can help guide you through how to apply if you're having trouble or you have questions. We have several members there that are available. The qualifications for firefighter are 21 years of age, a minimum of an EMT license, and then you have to have a driver's license and the ability to work in the U.S. and then be on the FCTC list currently. And then our new fire service EMT paramedic, the only difference there is you don't need to be on the FCTC list, and you can be 18 years of age. But there again, you need either an EMT or a paramedic license to apply, and the driver's license and ability to work in the U.S. So that's our new program. And then as you apply and you go through, there's usually if you're doing the firefighter or the FCTC, you're already gone through several of the steps to be eligible. So then you're coming in, there's going to be a background, and then there's going to be maybe a couple of different interviews, maybe a base level and then a chief's level interview. And I know we're going to get to some of those questions, maybe of how to prepare for an interview. But those are the basics on getting your foot in the door with our agency. So again, either as you can apply and become a firefighter, EMT, or paramedic and go through that process, or the new fire service EMT paramedic program, which is traditionally known as single role. You can come in and just work on an ambulance. And I don't say just like it's less. It's a different glide path, different career, and it's another way to serve the community. So we know there are people that love being paramedics and EMTs that don't necessarily want to go fight fire, but they want to be on ambulances and respond 911. So that's why this is such an exciting program for us. And again, I know it's going to be successful for us.
Incredible. All right. And so, Jonathan, so what advice do you have for candidates as they're going through the application hiring process?
So putting in your application and submitting, that's one thing, right? And then you have some time before you get notification and move on to the next steps. I would advise knowledge is power. So I would go to the department's website, our website, go to our social media, follow us, get involved as much as you can. Do ride-alongs, station visits. I would visit as many stations as you can. Again, we'll welcome you in, say we can help you with interview questions and such. We're, again, like Keith was saying earlier, like we had people who helped us out, so we're more than willing to help individuals, especially when they're candidates for our process. So gain as much knowledge as you can of the department, get involved as much as you can, meeting individuals, the firefighters, and building some of those relationships with those station visits or even the ride-alongs. Because you're going to come to a point where you, when you come to an interview, there's a couple questions that I always remember. It's, why do you want to be a firefighter? And why do you want to work for us? And I think majority of those interviews I had, why do you want to work for us? And firsthand of being involved and following our social media, going to station, like you're able to then say, you know, I learned so much, and this is what I enjoyed, the culture. You learn so much, and so you're able to express that. You're able to like show off of what you've done in the time period. So try to get involved with that as much as you can. Honestly, that I feel like my advice, it pays off dividends when it comes into the later part of the process.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
No one's watching, so it'll be fine.
Okay. I trust you on that. Yeah.
So any advice for candidates who are going through exactly what you just said, but they're thinking about giving up? They're not hearing back or they're getting a no. Any advice for them in that particular situation?
Yeah, because that's a good one. Everyone comes from different walks of life, whether you're an 18-year-old fresh out of high school, a 22-year-old that's in college, a 35, 40-year-old who has a family and kids. It's not an easy process, but once you get on, it's worth it. And please believe me when I say that. By staying involved, staying engaged, building some of those relationships does help a lot. Like I said, one thing I didn't share is when I was volunteering, I was able to participate in the Guns N' Hoses football game. And it is a great charity, full contact football game. But there was a lot of individuals there that worked for local agencies like Sacramento and Sac Metro. But the relationships I built with them helped me stay, kept the hook in me. So the advice with that is just don't give up, right? Keep going. When I was applying, it was a really tough time. It's not necessarily the same with that. We're hiring larger academies, but just keep moving forward. If you fall down, it's okay. Just stand up, dust yourself off, and just keep going. And then reach out to some of those connects that you had, those relationships that you built and work on to talk about some things and help you, because those individuals do care. And I can probably name several individuals, including Joshua, that during my path and my journey, you know, they did care and they provided some good, you know, hey, just keep going, keep at it. And in the words of Firefighter Frank Black, you eventually hit the life lottery.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, I would piggyback off of that. It's the only people who aren't successful are the ones that quit. And it is hard. You are going to have setbacks. So how do you pick yourself up, dust yourself off? Having a support system, whoever that, whatever that support system looks like, if it's clergy or family or firefighters who have been mentoring you, leaning on them in those times, and then growing, really learning from how you made maybe a misstep, and then growing from that and preparing for the next. Mm-hmm. So some people get lucky and they get hired first time out. Those people always make me upset, but then there's others who take years. But again, the ones who stay with it, they always end up getting a career in the fire service. So.
I know the chat right now is bursting with questions about the interview and about how to get on with Sacramento Fire. So we want to first and foremost thank you all for staying. You all have maintained viewership throughout this episode. So people that got on are still here watching, hanging on to every word. So we want to keep the information coming. I also think it's important to point out, so during you all's academy, you were a drill instructor.
I was a drill instructor for his college academy.
Oh, for his college academy.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Way
Yeah, but you never know how it's
True.
going to go in the future.
Absolutely.
You never. The person who's giving you, it seems like they're giving you a hard time. They just want to see the best out of you. That could be your buddy one day.
That's a good point. Every interaction you have with a firefighter when you're taking your steps is part of your interview. Because it's a big community, but it's a small community, and it's almost like junior high. It's going to spread around if you're doing some things that maybe aren't what is desirable. So carry yourself at all times as if you're doing your interview.
Okay, so carry yourself at all times as if you're doing your interview. And then as promised from the very beginning, we would love to hear your pro tip and any advice you have for candidates preparing for interviews right now.
So as a caveat, I did not come up with this pro tip on my own. It was my mentor gave me this pro tip, and first interview out of the gate, first interview out of the gate with Sac City. I got hired, but always have a closing statement. So at the end of the interview, they'll always say something to the effect of, thank you for being here. Do you have any questions? Is there anything that you want to add? Obviously ask your questions if you have questions, but always have a closing statement that reiterates why you're a good fit for the department. Something to the effect of, how you exemplify the core values of the department, why you would be a good fit, and why they want to hire you. And then just kind of mic drop it and shake their hands.
You gave us a mic drop moment. What exactly? Can you ask her that again, please?
What was your closing statement?
I don't remember it verbatim, but it was something to the effect of, I reiterated, the core values of the department, and then I said something to the effect of, if you want to know at the end of your career that you made a difference in the Sacramento Fire Department, then you can hire Tiana Nake. And then I stood up and I shook their hands.
Drop the mic, drop the mic.
And, mic drop. So I don't know that that's the reason that I got hired, but I feel like it is. And I think that was some of the best advice that I ever got.
But what you're leaning on there is you want to stand out.
Yes.
A lot of people are going to come in there and are going to say the same stuff. So how do you separate yourself? You have to have some sort of mic drop moment where you're walking out of the room and they're turning to each other going, and hopefully it's the positive, right?
Yeah.
I really like that person. But they went for
Just a display of confidence as well. You don't want to come in super timid and awkward and uncomfortable.
No.
Even though we all feel that way, but don't show it.
All right, so we have some questions for all of you. In the chat, we're going to jump to Amanda to take some more questions.
Thank you, Lasana. That was an awesome closing statement too, by the way. We do have a very popular question. It's kind of a 2-point question. So, Amistool, when will you be hiring? Followed by John 95, how often is recruitment for the firefighter training positions? So 2 in 1.
So right now we've been allowed to hire once a year for our firefighter positions. And so that usually begins in June and July for a January academy. So obviously we've done the hiring for that group now that's coming into this next January academy. And I can't press upon this enough, the fire service EMT and paramedic, that hiring just began. I believe they have the first group that has gone through for interviews. So they've done those things, but keep an eye out. Continuously check our websites. And also, I'm going to give a shout out to Wendy Aguilar, who's our media communication specialist. She constantly is throwing out on our social media pages, so please follow us. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram, TikTok, if you can believe that or not, and Facebook. So follow all those social media pages. We do updates on there too when we're hiring, and we encourage people constantly, like, hey, please show up. Your opportunity is now. And to piggyback off what you had said about when you are going for this job, make sure it is Sacramento Fire is where you want to work. Don't ever go into the interview and go, well, I have some options, so we'll see what happens. That's not what we want to hear. We want people who want to come join our family. So,
I believe on the website you can sign up for notifications for when an opportunity comes available.
Turn on your notifications for SAC Fire at joinsacfire.org. There we go. Thank you. Amanda.
Yes, we got another one here. This is from Grayson. What is one thing besides staying physically fit that you do to stay educated and ahead of this ever-changing industry? It's a great question.
That is a good one.
I would say we, as a department, we get out and train a lot. So if we have new buildings going up in our Firston area, we'll usually go out and walk those buildings, see what fire hazards it might have, learn about different fire attacks. Our training department's always putting out videos on new and different ways to fight fire, especially with the EV cars now. That's presenting a whole new issue of fighting car fires. So as a department, we're always putting out either training videos or physically going out and training on different things.
I would say that if you want to be a good firefighter, especially within this organization, the learning never really stops. You're always trying to keep up on the next thing, whether it's EMS, fire, hazmat, rescue. You're always looking for more information.
Okay. Amanda?
All right, another question we have. This is from Austin. What does fire service want to see from a candidate that's very young and doesn't have a lot of life experience outside of school and the fire academy?
I feel like
I can probably answer this one. So having entered the fire service as young as I did, I had the benefit of having some life experience because I was working construction pretty much simultaneously throughout. But I lacked a lot of life experience as far as adult interactions, really, when I got hired here. And that's okay. You're going to get the experience. You're going to learn a lot. Like if you come in really green like that, you're going to learn a lot. Just be open-minded. Be prepared to learn. Be prepared to maybe have a couple shots thrown your way. But, you know, I would encourage anybody who's trying to seek this career out at a young age to go for it.
I think it was Austin was the name. Austin, if you're listening right now, I would say talk less, listen more. And that'll help as you're going through this process. And have a mentor, someone that you trust that can help guide you through it. Because, yeah, not everyone's going to have that life experience when they start. But I think putting yourself out there, having the passion for it, and letting that passion show with your behavior, showing up early, being the last one to leave, always up working. These types of things translate well. And when you come into an interview, when you're young, if you have that passion translate over with the way you carry yourself, your confidence, how you sit, show that you are prepared. You might not know everything, but if you can translate over how much this means to you in a very confident way, a lot of times you're going to leave those the people who are there testing you with a hard decision to make.
Yeah. As a captain now, I would take work ethic over life experience any day. We'll give you life experience. You're going to get plenty of life experience. But I would definitely take work ethic over life experience.
Can you unpack that? Can maybe a little bit more? As I am in agreement, but can you elaborate?
You know, like Chief Wade said, if you just learn to soak up everything around you and always look for that next opportunity. Look, personally, I can translate this from my construction background. If you're always looking ahead to see what needs to be done and can anticipate the needs of whatever it is, the firehouse, the call, the EMS incident, whatever it is, without having to be told, and you're always just kind of working for that next step, it goes a really long way.
That's so good. That's so good. Amanda, did we have one final question, or was that it for?
We've got one more question here for this. We have from Drake Garcia. How old is too old to become a firefighter and a desirable applicant? And Grayson from YouTube asked for tips when being an older applicant.
So we don't have an age limit for our applicants. Minimum age requires 21, and you could be, 30s, 40s. For me, again, I started my academy at 39. I was the third oldest in my class, so that was somewhat slight relief. But for me, what helped me was I had life experience with having a sports background, being a father, having kids, working the jobs that I had, and going through a previous fire academy. I think it helped me mentally get through the challenges, those 24 weeks of our fire academy. The physical part was really what I was concerned with, given my age, given some of the other cadets were in their 20s, early 30s, and I also had multiple knee injuries from playing sports. So I just try to keep myself in shape as best as I could physically, and be prepared for stuff it is a kick your butt kind of academy, but it's for good reason, and it's also preparing you for the career you're getting into. So if you're in your late 30s, early 40s, don't even think that should deter you from wanting to apply. I would say since our academy, I think there's been 4 or 5. I believe there's been at least 1 or 2 probationary firefighters that's come out that's in their late 30s, early 40s. Because your life is not planned out at 25, sometimes 30. Sometimes you have other obstacles, and so like I said, I believe everything happens for a reason. So if you're 39, 40, 41, 42, I would say don't let that deter you. Give it a shot. It might be the right place for you to be at. So don't let that deter you.
And if you are 30s or 40s, it's okay to run circles around the 20-somethings, right? You can do it humbly, but you can still.
It does. I take advantage of my opportunities. I can't do it all the time, but when I see that opportunity, I make it, and I get some raised eyebrows. But
there it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when it comes to just the academy, Jonathan and Tiana, since both of you were in the same academy, can you give an overview of just what your experience was like in the academy? Any advice you have for candidates as they start an academy?
Yeah, I'll start off. So for me, like I said, I was one of the oldest recruits in the academy, and I've gone through a previous college academy. So I kind of mentally, for me, it was like an advantage for that. But again, my challenge was physically. And I knew this was going to be a different academy, being a paid recruit versus a college academy. So again, I just try to get myself mentally and physically prepared as best as possible. Going through the academy, it is a long, grueling process. And some days are great, some days are really tough. But you become you become a family within that academy with support and relationships. But also, like Keith had said earlier, having my support system at home was huge. My wife, like I said, this time my kids were a little older when I went through this academy. But your support system, whether it's your spouse or your parents, grandparents, whatnot, it's huge to help take care of things, because our main focus was academy, right? And making sure we're giving it the best and we're recovering and such. So for my experience, it was good, just for the sense that, again, my challenge was physical. But I think at the end of the day, I still learned a lot. But it was the support system that helped me out, taking care of things behind the scenes, and being able to build that family relationship dynamics with my academy mates.
Gianna, how about you?
Yeah, I very much struggled in the early parts of the academy just because it was all so new to me. The fire skills were all new. It was paramilitary. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced before. And so it was very emotionally and physically taxing. They really take you to the end of your rope, both physically and mentally in the academy, for good reason. But that was really difficult for me to navigate in the beginning of the academy. So like Jonathan said, having a good support system at home is huge. Shout out to my amazing husband for being my rock during that time. But I always joke that like I cried every day during the academy, but I mean, it was so difficult. Just you come home and you're emotionally and physically drained, and then, you know, I didn't have kids going through the academy, but I can't even imagine, you know, coming home and having kids and a family to take care of. But it's the most rewarding thing looking back on it. Would I want to do it again? Not really, but there's so many fond memories, and it was so worth it to get to the point where I'm at now. I have the best job in the world, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. So stick with it. Don't quit.
So it's worth it. Well worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, so we are going to go ahead and go back to the chat. We have even more questions for you all. The people want to know. Amanda, back to you.
No problem. I have JP Canote. I hope I'm saying that okay. When will all firefighters be off the ambulance?
That's someone from the inside.
I feel like this person has an inside track of information somehow.
Our admin's working on it.
Yeah, it's usually seniority based. Once you get to a certain seniority, you kind of get off the medic. But
yeah, it takes most of us. Like I know Captain Pino worked like 13 years on an ambulance. I worked 10, and it has been a part of our culture that you're going to work half of your time on a fire suppression unit. If you're a firefighter, paramedic, or EMT, you're going to be on an engine truck half the time. Have your days off. When you come back, you're going to be on an ambulance for the next rotation. It is what it is. That's our department. We are moving towards, again, the fire service EMT paramedic. We're hiring people for that will specifically just be doing ambulance work. And as we do that, there is an end goal, I think, at some point where possibly we won't have ambulances staffed by trained firefighters. When will that happen, or is there a date set for that? We don't know. We're still trying to really make sure that we take the proper steps as we build this new program so that it is successful. And it takes some data, takes some trial and error, and we're looking forward to the new group of people coming in that's going to do that. And so there'll be some growing pains to be expected, but I know a lot of the people that get into this to be firefighters aren't necessarily sold on the ambulance side of the job. I found it to be very rewarding, but it is very taxing physically and mentally, long nights. And so, I think eventually we will have and see a fire department where there is a separate division where it is just ambulances, but we're not there yet anytime soon. So whoever asks that question, if you're going to get hired with us, expect to work on an ambulance at some point in the near future.
But it's only half the time.
Only half the time. Only half the time, and a lot of agencies don't do that. And I'm not going to disparage any other department, but I know there are several. If you get hired as a paramedic there, let's say, you are going to be on an ambulance full time. And so that has always been a benefit of our department is you do get your suppression time, and they cannot pull you when you're on your suppression time. So you're going to get your time as a firefighter and your time on the ambulance.
And shout out to everyone who has had to work on the ambulance, you too, and just all of you and whoever asked the question, the pioneers to create this new system.
The only rescue I ever got on a fire, I was working on the ambulance that day. So yeah, so there's that.
So there's that. There you go. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take our final question and then go into some of our closing statements.
All right, this is actually probably my favorite question. We do have one from Jeannie. Last one. What is something you wish you knew about sooner before you became a firefighter?
This is one of my favorite ones too, Amanda. All right.
For me personally, the emphasis on food, cooking. Obviously, I was young, but I didn't pay any attention to what my mom was doing in the kitchen when I was living at home. After I moved out, you know, I was hamburger helper or top ramen or whatever. So the emphasis on food, I wish I would have paid. I mean, I've learned now that I've been here, but at first it was a steep learning curve.
Do you mind if I interject with this really quick? You gave me an excellent example yesterday, and so I burn steak. I would love to know how to make a really good steak. Can you give it was like a 30-second pro tip. Can you walk us through how to properly cook a steak?
My favorite way to prepare a steak is cast iron skillet, heat it up nice and hot, a little clarified butter or ghee, sear both sides, pull it, put it in the oven, a little bit more clarified butter or ghee on top of it, low temperature, about 225 till you get to the internal.
Maybe a little rosemary.
Yeah, a little rosemary works. But for me personally, I like salt and pepper. That's about it.
Purist.
Yeah. And then whatever internal temperature you want, pull it out and let it rest for as long as you cooked it.
Right, and don't start out with a cold one.
And at room temp. Room temp.
I'm going to try it. I'll get back to you to be continued. Any other advice for, yeah?
I would say don't be stagnant in your career. So I know we've mentioned continue to train and learn. There are opportunities that will present themselves. Don't let fear stand in your way of seizing some opportunities and going for something out of your comfort zone. And I can give 100 different examples. There are times I look back, I wish I would have tried this sooner, or maybe not had stayed at this firehouse so long and taken a different opportunity and a different path to have a different experience and different perspective. So that would be my one thing. And also don't talk so much.
Maybe in this part, if you could also add on like any words of wisdom that you have. That's something you wish you knew ahead of time, but maybe if your words of wisdom were slightly different, maybe that's something you can add. So something you wish you knew earlier and any words of wisdom at this, and we'll come back to you.
Yeah, I think and I've said it a few times, but I have had bad cases of verbal diarrhea throughout my career. And the more you listen to people, the more you are going to grow personally, as opposed to always being the one who wants to lend your opinion and be the first. And that's where you have a lot of missteps, especially in the firehouse around the table, when you're just talking and not listening to others, you are missing out. So I can't say that enough, especially to the youth, because especially now as and I don't know how this happened, but I'm the older guy a lot of the time, sitting at the fire table, and I'm the chief, so it can be a little quiet, but there are those that are comfortable with me sitting there, and I listen a lot more to the conversations, and I can see some people going down paths going, but everyone's got to learn and get their own experience. So that would be my advice.
That's a good one.
My advice would be just don't be afraid of failure. I think a lot of my anxiety going into just this career in general and throughout the beginning parts of the academy was I was so afraid to mess up or look stupid. And I really hindered a lot of my learning. And once I realized, like, we're all here to learn, like we got hired to learn how to do the job. It really, one, took away a lot of the anxiety that I was building up in my own head about it, and two, just kind of, to your point, like, gave me the ability to learn from the other people around me, from what they were saying to help me. So,
I guess two things for me. Find a mentor, and that doesn't end at like getting hired within the fire department. It's if you want to advance to find a mentor, soak up as much as you can from that mentor, listen to what they have to say. And the second thing I would say is it's really, our job is all about connections, personal connections with the public or with each other. So I know, like I mentioned it earlier, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, practice having conversations with random strangers, learning how to connect with people. That's probably going to be your biggest asset coming into this profession.
Okay. All right. Something you wish you knew sooner, and any advice you want to leave?
Well, let's see. Something I wish I knew sooner before I got hired. I would say I agree with Joshua. Cooking is a huge part of the firehouse, so it can either make you or break you to a certain extent, and it is a critical part. But it is also a joy in it as well. You know, especially when you have some good meals together, because you're at the table sitting together like family, and it's better when you have some really good food that's being served up. And then in regards to some advice, I would say be hungry. Make sure you stay hungry for this career. This isn't something that overnight will happen. Go out there, be aggressive when it comes to doing ride-alongs, doing station visits. Again, like I mentioned earlier, gather as much knowledge and info about that department as you can, following on their social media platforms. And then, let's say if you don't get on that first round, try it again, stay hungry for it. It might take you a year, it might take you 3 to 5 years, but stay hungry for it. And also, don't be afraid of failure with that as well.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. All of this is excellent. I never feel led to participate in this part, but I would like to add my own to my own younger self. Similar to yours, get out of your head. Get out of your head. And once you can get out of your head, you can get out of your own way and learn how to take a joke. Stop being so uptight. Learn how to share your sense of, you tilted, you agree?
That is, probably one of the best pieces of advice for a new firefighter.
Oh, yeah.
Learn how to take a joke.
Yeah, there's some sensitivity out there, but that's okay.
But just thoughts of my own. So I definitely appreciate, I love when folks come on and share all the words of wisdom and the advice. I think a lot of times it's just applicable to life, not only to the fire service. So on behalf of myself and the organization, the many organizations represented here in the building, I want to give a very huge thank you to each and every one of you for participating in this process and just for being here today.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. And special shout out to your team working hard behind the scenes, that being Dominic and Lawrence and Wendy and Chief Billiter and just all the people that worked really hard to make today happen. All right. All right, all right. Well, if you are interested, and I know you are, in applying to the Sacramento Fire Department in the future, or if you still have questions, we strongly encourage you to connect with SacFire directly at sacfire.org. The link to their website and to their social media, very, very active social media pages, is listed in the description below, so go ahead and check that out. They have an excellent social media presence. You can go ahead and see, make sure that you check out their What's for Lunch series. Lots of good stuff there as well. And so moving right along, if you're a planner and you'd like to plan ahead, pull out your calendar and mark the date for April 5th, 2025. Cal-JAC will be having a Firefighter Career Expo. This is happening April 5th, right here in Sacramento at the FCTC Sacramento site. It's a great opportunity to meet with various different fire departments. The Sacramento Fire Department will be there, so they'll have a booth. You'll be able to hopefully get to meet some of the people here today. If not, they'll have other firefighters that'll be present. But an excellent opportunity to learn more about the fire service, ask any questions that you have, and all of that. So make sure that you subscribe and like the video. Also, and these are things that are currently happening. These are a little bit sooner than April 2025. So currently, we're releasing a series about veterans in the fire service. And so shout out to Tim White, shout out to Rico who participated in that episode. But if you're a veteran and you're learning, how do I access a lot of these resources that are available to me as a veteran? I'm trying to transition into the fire service. Watch this episode. And so it'll be a series of different clips. Definitely go ahead and take advantage of that. Lots of thoughts shared there, lots of resources as well. And so also make sure that you come back tomorrow, because tomorrow you can see my actual station visit. You saw a very short clip of it earlier. Me and Captain Pino out there taking on the world. It was really him. I didn't do anything. But with that, you'll be able to see the very full episode. So definitely make sure you check that out. And then next month, we will be filming a live day in the life / life of a firefighter episode. And so if you've ever been to one of our career expos, we have a presentation called Day in the Life where we talk about the schedule of a firefighter. What are some of the benefits of becoming a firefighter? Why is it such an amazing career? And what does a typical day look like when you're doing that job? Are you putting out fires? Are you responding to medical calls? Outside of those things, what else does that day consist of? And so we'll be talking about all of those things as it relates to the career of being a firefighter. So join us for that. That will be filmed live December 11th at 12 noon. And so you can catch that episode right here on YouTube. You can also go to Instagram or TikTok. Okay, and so we'll have representation from our commission to recruit women for the fire service. And those firefighters work for Cal Fire, San Jose, and San Francisco. So shout out to each of those agencies as well. Very, very lastly, once again, thank you all for being here, for sticking around. We want to thank Sacramento. We want to make sure that you continue to follow at Becoming AFF on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, Facebook, and X. Twitter, if you really, but it's called X, so we're going to go with that. But thank you again for being here, and peace out until next time. Bye, everyone.